What's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's good to see you, and all your new faces. Now today we'll be trying 3 different bags of chips from the brand Rubio. Will they taste like what they're supposed to taste like? Are they even tasty? Or will they just fall flat? We'll find out right now. So starting off, we have the most boring out of the 3 flavors, that being the Himalayan Salt. Now it's supposed to be a premium flavor and according to the package is in the style of a golden crisp. So according to Rubio, they describe the flavor of this bag of chips as a harmony of delicate flavor and evocative touch of salt. I'm not sure what this is supposed to mean because to me this just means a taste of salt. Also, if you've ever tried Himalayan salt, you would know it is just pink salt. There doesn't seem to be anything overly interesting about the ingredients list because it's basically potatoes, olive oil, and pink Himalayan salt. I will give them credit where credit is due in that they didn't just use regular salt and called it pink Himalayan salt. So let's try opening the bag and see how easy or difficult it is. Definitely a very tight seal. I'm just gonna tear it on the side. Okay, so far it smells like a regular bag of chips. Nothing overly special, nothing overly funky about it. And the style of chip is actually quite heavily deep fried. You can actually see all the little bubbles of oil and stuff on it. It reminds me of the egg chips in the previous video, which I'm not complaining about because I prefer this to crinkle cut chips or the Pringle style cut of chips. Let's give it a try. So as expected, this tastes like a regular bag of salted chips. Nothing overly special, nothing overly funky, it's just salt and chips. I would say it's not a bad chip because salted chips are normal. I guess we've come to sort of expect that. I'll put the price over here so you can determine if it's worth your time buying this particular brand of chips or if you're better off sticking with your regular go-to bag of salted chips. On to the next one. Next up, we have the Black Caviar or Caviar Noir flavored bag of chips. The company describes the flavor as a sophisticated snack of delicate flavor and marine aroma of black caviar pearls. I don't think this is grammatically correct because what the hell is a marine aroma? To me, it sounds like the people in charge took a thesaurus and basically chose big fancy words to describe the overall flavor. According to the ingredients list, it's basically potatoes, oil, and salt and enhancers, which is your caviar flavor. I'm not entirely sure why they translated it in so many languages because if I remember correctly, the other bag had far fewer different translations. Anyway, for those wondering, this bag is actually gluten-free and suitable for vegans despite it being caviar flavored. I'm not sure if the previous bag was, let me check. Yeah, it appears that all of their chips are actually gluten-free and suitable for vegans. Anyway, I'm not gonna struggle to try and open the bag like the previous one because they're all from the same brand and I'm gonna assume they all have the same amount of resistances. So what it smells like is basically like the previous bag, except with a very light hint of barbecue flavor. I'm not sure if this is what all chip manufacturers do when it comes to flavors that are not salt and vinegar, but it's getting a bit annoying. Now the chip is considerably less deep fried than the first bag and it seems to be a bit thicker. Now this gives me a slightly more premium vibe as compared to the first bag because of the overall style and shape of the chip. You can actually still see the rings of the potato, which I think is a nice touch. So let's give it a try. So surprisingly, this didn't just taste of potato and salt, and the chip is definitely a lot thicker than the first bag of chips. It is erring on the side of being a little bit difficult to chew, and if you left this out for long enough, this would be a real pain to actually eat. That being said, it doesn't actually taste of caviar. What it tastes like is actually closer to that of a Japanese-style rice cracker. I'm gonna put a picture up here so you know which ones I'm referring to. It's sort of those white, non-soy glazed cracker with a bit of seaweed. I'm not particularly a fan of that flavor, and given that this doesn't actually taste of caviar, it's not looking great for this particular bag of chips. So yeah, on to the next one. So finally, we have the wasabi flavored potato chips. The company describes the flavor as the exoticisms. I'm gonna have to check that.
Exoticism.
So as confirmed, there is no such word as exoticisms. Yes, it's supposed to be exoticisms, I think. I'm gonna assume that's what they meant. The company describes the flavor as the exoticisms and the extreme elegance of the intense aroma of wasabi. Now, wasabi should not have intense aroma if you are using fresh wasabi. I don't know how many of you have actually tried freshly grated wasabi, but the vast majority of sushi restaurants are going to be serving you horseradish powder. And it looks exactly like this. It's usually very sharp, very harsh, and it goes up your nose. Very different from fresh wasabi, which is mild and sweet. The ingredients are basically potatoes, oil, wasabi flavor, which most likely is horseradish powder, and onion, just says onion. Not sure if it's onion powder, but it's onion. Anyway, let's give it a smell. Yeah. Surprisingly, again, this doesn't smell like what I expected it to. I expected more of a sharp horseradish sort of aroma hitting the nose, but what I'm getting from this is like, I guess I can smell sort of the onion powder sort of smell, but there isn't really much going on for it. If I let you smell it, you would definitely not think it was wasabi. As you can see, they're using very large and thick slices of potatoes to make their chips. So I'm gonna guess that most of their flavors use this sort of thick, long style of chip as compared to the overly fried one of the Himalayan Salt. But as you can see from this particular chip, the seasoning is extremely inconsistent. Yeah, so let's give it a try. Okay, I'm gonna say that this tastes of wasabi, but very loosely. Let me explain. Now there's a very, very mild wasabi flavor, which is actually more horseradish than anything, and it's like barely there. The flavor you get from this is definitely more of a spicier chip, not too different from the hot and spicy variants of other brands. The only thing differentiating this from those other flavors is there's a very, very, very mild sharp kick from the wasabi or horseradish flavor, or whatever you want to call it. Also, the flavoring in this bag of chips is extremely inconsistent. Some chips have like no seasoning on it at all. Yeah, and some have a lot of seasoning, as you saw earlier. The chips without the seasoning don't taste of anything. They just taste of regular potato chips and salt, just not as salty as the first chip. And the other chips with any amount of seasoning just taste like what I described. Would I recommend this? Probably not. So overall, I will say that all three bags of chips are fairly decent. They are definitely not bad bags of chips. It's just that I personally don't really like the flavoring of the caviar flavored chips. I guess I would give them all a sort of overall rating like this. As mentioned before, it's not a scientific way in any way, shape or form. It's just to give you a rough idea of the overall pleasure I got from eating these bags of chips. But that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, like if you liked the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video because it really helps the channel. Also, let me know in the comments down below which other brands of chips or flavors of chips you'd like me to try, or if you have a particular bag of chips that are your favorite. But for now, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see all you beautiful people in the next video.